Good morning, blessings, and welcome everyone. I'm so very grateful to be with you this morning. It is December, I think it's it's December 21st. Wow, it is the solstice today. That's amazing. So much time has gone by and I've just been so incredibly busy. How have you been? Have you had time to give back to yourself, to be present with all that is happening in your life? I pray you are. And I'm just noticing here on the YouTube that I'm not sure that we're up. I'm not sure that we're up here yet. So I'm going to just have a look. And there seems to be some kind of a little post. We're almost at the end of Mercury retrograde. So I'm just waiting to see what's going on here and that we are not. It says that we're live and it says that it's waiting for me. Though I have started the broadcast and it seems that we are up and we are live, yet there is a time lag of sorts. So I'm just going to give it a moment before I hop in and start getting deeper into this. Let's see what could be going on. It's a bit of an adventure every single time I hop online and do these broadcasts, and you never know what's going to happen. So I don't know what's happening. Oh my goodness. I don't know what's happening. It says that it's waiting for me, yet I'm already here. So let's see what's going on. And it says that there's at least one viewer. There's one of you watching. So thank you so much for joining me this morning. And I guess there's a little lag time here. I've got the Wi-Fi. Everything seems like it's running fine. And whew, let's see. This is so interesting. I can only assume, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to refresh this page, and it might be dangerous to do that, but I'm going to see, there we are. Okay, good. I see that we are up and running. I just needed to do a little refresher here. Okay, fantastic. That's more like it. Blessings. Okay, let me just get this organized here. Okay, wonderful. Oh, thank you so much again for joining me this morning. I am Tuesday May Thomas, and this is 4D Trinity. This is my show. It's a spiritual self-help show where we really tap into our higher selves. We tap into the invisible realm of how the world works, the sort of the backdrop, the invisible realm through which our thoughts, our words, and our energies, our actions create for us in this 3D dimension, the world of the visible. What we do in 4D Trinity here is we bring to light, we bring forward those aspects that are hidden from us, and we learn that we can be a conscious co-creator with our life's experience. And we learn how to do that as a master. And as a master, we are aligned with that which is, aligned with love. We know as a master to create consciously with the frequency of love, that we can and that we do create with a source, with a higher power that is beyond us. And we allow that higher power to move through our thoughts, through our words, and through our actions and our deeds. There is a part of that where we give up control. We give up thinking that we have the answers, that we know the answers, and we allow ourselves to be infused with that source, with that love, with that light, whether you call it God, a higher power, you call it the universe, whatever it is. So again, I am Tuesday May Thomas. I am a Heaven on Earth ambassador. I am here to teach self-mastery. as well as to have fun. To have fun, right? We can't take ourselves too seriously. And when I say I'm here to teach self-mastery, again, that's all about being a master of our time and space, learning that we can indeed be a conscious co-creator with our life's experience and not a victim of it. As a heaven on earth ambassador, what that means is that I feel that I have reached a certain point in my life that I can and that I do access heaven on earth realization in my very being on a day-to-day basis. That means that I live in peace, right? For the most part, I'm still human. At least I'm remembering that I am human. And I'll go into what that means. But that we can experience peace in our minds and peace in our hearts and peace in our emotions. And when we allow that, when we allow ourselves to access that, what happens is we bridge heaven on earth through our very being, through this physical body, through this vehicle. We connect from this physical part of ourselves to that source, to that God source, to that love, to that light. And through our bodies, we become a bridge so that we can become fused with that heaven, with that bliss state, that paradise state of being. And we allow that to be a part of our lives. In being with heaven on earth realization, there is an invitation to let go of the drama, to let go of pain, of sorrow. And not that you won't have these emotions or these senses of realization in your life anymore, but there's a sense that we are consciously, constantly co-creating and remembering that love is the truth, that light is the truth. And so we place ourselves there, right? We place ourselves at the feet of that divine source energy. And we say, use me. Use my thoughts, use my mind, use my tongue, use my words, use my body to help create heaven on earth within me and through me, that I may realize it first. And then from my beingness of that, may that be transmitted out from me. And you know what? It can't help but be transmitted out from us, right? And radiate in all directions, multiplied. We are the vehicle, we are the vessel for love, right? To flow. We choose it though. We have to choose it. If we don't choose it, then we can feel like we are a little leaf being blown around by all the craziness of the world, fluttering here and there without a sense of grounding. Love is our grounding post that we may realize heaven on earth. 4D Trinity. It is here that we bridge fourth dimensional consciousness, right? With and through the Trinity of mind, body, and spirit. 4D, what is 4D? That is heaven on earth realization, right? That is heaven on earth, as I was speaking about earlier. And 4D is that level of realizing that we can be a conscious master of our mind, that when those negative or limiting thoughts come into us, that we can say, no, thank you. And we can choose again. We can choose again what we decide to think, what we decide to believe, what we give our power to. Because where we put our power, where we place our energy, is where we place our energy is where we will experience it coming back to us. And it's really that simple, right? What you think is, what you think becomes. And so as we realize this, we recognize that we can indeed master our minds. We can choose again. We can think again. And so we create a mental clarity, a liberation within our minds, where again, we realize that we don't have to be a victim of like, I just can't stop these thoughts. I just can't get over myself. Yes, you can. You have to choose it though. Right? That's the most important part, is being a conscious co-creator and choosing it. So you can abide in mental sovereignty, so you can regain your regality, your majesty of being your highest, most beautiful self. Heaven on earth is forgiveness. Last week we talked about this a bit. What is that? That means dropping it. Dropping the story, dropping the projections and the judgments we have, whether it's towards ourselves or towards others. Right? And that all of our emotions are a representation of the mind stuff. So as we get clear in the mind stuff, that's the step one, and we learn how to recalibrate the way we think about things, the way we see things, the way we perceive things, the way we judge things or not. That definitely activates a chemical reaction, a biological reaction within us that will either manifest emotions that can keep us bound and keep us feeling like a victim, keep us feeling a slave, right, to those darker levels, to those denser levels of worldly being, right, of frustration, of impatience, of feeling like there's no way out. Yet as we learn to master the mind and embody and master those emotions in effect through forgiveness of ourselves and others, we reclaim a sense of emotional balance. And when we are emotionally balanced, we can remember and come back to that choice, that we have that choice to choose love over and over again. So that's the next part of 4D consciousness. It is being aware that love, as I call it here, the quantum organizer, is always in effect. Love simply is. Light simply is. And it is our choice to either put our awareness there in the light or put our awareness in the dark. And that's what gives either variety, either variation, the power to then come back and show us and demonstrate to us either visions of love and light or visions of darkness, right? And of isolation, of separation. We are moving to unity consciousness. That is heaven on earth realization, away from separation consciousness. Anytime we have a thought, a feeling, an emotion that is us versus them, where we forget that we are really one body, we are one mind, we are one heart and one soul. When we forget that, we feel separated, we feel isolated, we feel alone, yet we are never alone, right? Metaphysically, beyond this body, I am a part of your body, you are a part of my body. My healing is your healing is my healing. And when we remember that, we connect to an almighty source of power that is love, right? In all of these movies, right, the best movies that we've seen, it's where love conquers all. And love is the truth. The best stories we've probably ever read, right? Some of them are sad, some of them are happy, but it always comes down to, think of the Star Wars trilogy, right? The Force is love. The Force is light. The Force is the good. If we were to think about it in polarized levels of duality consciousness, it's the good versus bad. And here in 4D, what we're doing is we are remembering that we have a choice. We're remembering to choose the good. We're choosing the love, the light. And when we do that collectively, right, by me doing that now, you viewing this and you choosing that day after day, moment after moment, we create a collective. We create a fabric and a network, a neural network, right, a matrix energetically, whereby that labyrinth can then be founded in the grid sphere, in the matrix of consciousness that is collectively held together by all of us, so that as we forget that we are one with God, that we are one with love and light, we can easier remember by that split second of choice where we decide to remember that love is the truth. We remember to place our awareness there, and then we come lit up and we are infused with that love and light. Not only that we've placed there, that we've decided, but that all beings through all time and space have known, have remembered, and have reclaimed. So we are claiming that today. We are claiming that every single day. As we do that collectively, we give rise to and we fortify this heaven on earth consciousness, this 4D consciousness, heaven on earth realization. Are you ready? Honey, I know I am. And I have been. Have you been for a long time? I know I have been, in life so much. It's just like I was a victim for so many years, and feeling that the outside world just really had it in for me. And then as I continued on my spiritual studies and realizing that love really is the truth, it just liberated me to such a degree where now there's no question. Right? And we do have questions, and there are times where it's like, why is this happening to my family member? Why is this happening to me? Yet we remember and we decide and we choose that the highest good is always happening in effect for us and to us and through us. And in that way, when we choose that, it makes it so. That is the metaphysics. That is the metaphysics of how it happens. What you perceive, what you decide, gives energy to that which lays outside of you, what seemingly is outside of you. And so it infuses that which is, what it's a scenario, it's a relationship, it's a work project, it's your own health and healing. It gives rise to those values, being alive within those situations, so that what we receive back is infused with that. And it's a dance, and we continually move, right, from one plane to the next, from one thought to the next, from one conversation to the next. And we decide consciously to place love there, to see love there, even if that person, place, or thing looks like there's everything but love there. We decide that there is love there. And through your holy vision of making it so, of deciding it so, it gives rise, it creates the correct conditions for that love, for that little seed to sprout, for that kind act between one person and another, towards yourself, towards another, from another towards you, to happen. And it's then our responsibility to receive it, to bless it, and to acknowledge it. Okay. If you are here with me, I know I had a little bit of a rough start here. I didn't think I was actually getting online. If you are here with me, definitely drop me a little line in the comment box and say hello. I would be so very grateful. Oh, thank you so much. I bless this day. You know, I know we're going to do our prayer here shortly. And but before that, I've had several different animal totems and animal spirit guides over the years, since I recognized that we could have animal spirit guides. And one of them is the bee. And the bee comes around once in a while to me. And I never really paid attention to its significance, because I would always be thinking that an animal totem had to be like literally like a rhinoceros or a zebra or a whale or whatnot. Yet the animal totems do extend out to the insect kingdom, right? And the bee is all about productivity, right? Which is a level of manifesting, but it's manifesting from the love, and it's the creator of miracles. And this morning, when I was outside doing my own personal prayer before beginning this, the bee came and he hovered around me, right? As well as I call him Harry the hummingbird. The hummingbirds are around constantly, and I love them. I have a little hummingbird feeder out on the patio. And so Harry the hummingbird came by when I was doing my little prayers, and I acknowledged Harry. And then what came around Harry, what zoomed around Harry, was this little bee. And I thought, wow, even animals have their own totems. And I thought, is Harry your little Jiminy Cricket? I mean, is the bee Harry's little Jiminy Cricket? Is the bee your little sidekick? You know, I was talking to the hummingbird, and the bee did a little then buzz and a whiz around me. And I thought, oh, thank you. Thank you for reminding me that this day is a miracle. I choose to see this day as a miracle. Thank you for reminding me that all the things that I do in the production of this show, in the production of just living my everyday life, can be infused with that miracle mindedness. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with our prayer. We're going to take a moment to close the eyes and take a nice deep inhale and a full exhale. And we're going to call in the love and light of the universe, and all those divine light beings of the highest order, and all of the light beings who love us. We love you, and we thank you for your presence. We thank you for your guidance. We thank you for opening the way for us, that we may remember the way back home to love. We thank you and we bless you. We call in those ancestors that perhaps work with us, those lineages that we work with, and loved ones that are passed from this life and perhaps still here in spirit, here as angels to guide us. We welcome you. We welcome you. We welcome you. We call in also our animal spirits, those animal totems that we work with perhaps. I call in the raven, that which is the messenger between dimensions. And I thank you. I thank you for your assistance in bringing these messages throughout all time and space and all dimensions. I call in the whale, the record keeper of all that has happened and that will ever happen on this planet. I call in the horse, that which represents freedom and power, that power of freedom realization. I call in the hummingbird that sings the joys of love. And the bee this morning, I call in the bee, Thank you for your re-energizing in the ways of productivity and creation, co-creation with Source, and the reminder of miracle-mindedness that you serve. And lastly, I call in the crocodile, the gatekeeper of all knowledge. And so it is. And so it is. Thank you so much again for joining me. If you have hopped on, give me a little message in the comment box. I am so very, very grateful for all of your support, for all of my new subscribers. I've gotten a little handful of new subscribers this week, and it means so much to me for you to stop by and to check out my videos. Every week I do a weekly tarot energy forecast that is really metaphysically minded infused. It's almost like a way that I can share the teachings that have served me, that have blessed my life through the interpretation of the cards. Okay. And I also have many playlists. I am a Reiki master for many, many years. And I have a book that I wrote called The Reiki Apprentice that embodies my whole journey of learning Reiki and how I learned to use it to heal my life. We're going to be reading out of this book a little bit later. You know, wow, what a week. I know it's been incredibly, I don't know, for me, I had experienced stress and I had forgotten what stress is. I don't usually live with stress. And this month has been just back to back to back, just on the go. And I had to remind myself that that's not my true self. That's not the truth. And it brought me back to the lessons and the teachings and the remembering of creating peace within myself so that I can move forward from a place of peace. And I'm so grateful for it. So we can bless those situations, those scenarios that do happen to us, and remember that they can serve as reminders to bring us back home to ourselves. So this week we are continuing on from last week, which was learning and understanding metaphysical energy tools. Well, first of all, let's review, and we talked a little bit about this at the beginning of this live stream, what metaphysics is. Right? And really, I will give you my definition, it is the study of the invisible world, the realm that is hidden from us. And it is our learning of how to adapt that understanding of that which resides in the invisible realms that we can learn to work with those qualities, work with those values and those energies to bring about greater love and light in our lives. Okay, so as we learn what's going on in the invisible realm, we realize how that is deeply and innately connected to what we experience here on the earth plane. And I just want to talk a little bit, and I still am meditating on this because I don't have a 100% clarity on it just yet, but I've recognized on the YouTube and in many spiritual ascension teachings that there is this hop to 5D, right? Where we're just getting out of 3D and moving into 5D consciousness. 5D, as I understand it, is a level of heaven on earth realization for sure. Yet, because I am a heaven on earth ambassador, what I recognize is I was like, well, wait a minute, why aren't we stopping through 4D, through the heart, through the fourth dimensional consciousness en route to 5D? And I feel that there's a very important part of this puzzle in learning and understanding the space of the heart through that 4D consciousness. And really, what is ascension without love, without the heart? And maybe that's why I'm here, to bridge that gap between the 3D and the 5D, to speak about 4D. Okay, so this is really, really important, to learn the lessons of love, to learn how to be a master of love within ourselves and around us. Last week, we spoke on the keynote, this metaphysical energy tool called the keynote, whereby every single person resonates at a certain keynote. And I'm going to play the bowl here. And maybe you can hear, I have chimes outside, even though the window is closed today because it's very cold and windy, but there's a chime outside, and it jingles, and it plays different notes on it, right? Beautiful notes. And we all resonate at a certain key, at a certain tone, right? Along the musical scale. And as we have interactions with others, we can either clash, those tones can clash, right? And make music that can seemingly be a little bit distorted, Or we can come together and create a beautiful harmonic whereby we make beautiful music together. And that's in every exchange we have with ourselves in our own minds and with others, with people, places, and things out there in the world. And so the keynote, I just wanted to double back and give a few demonstrations of how I was using it this week. Because the idea is that when we use metaphysical energy tools, first of all, we are always accessing the highest good so that we are not forcing a will, we are not pushing an agenda, we are not trying to change people, places, or things. We are simply recognizing that love is the truth, and we are using these energy tools that we may place love here, we may place love there, and allow for the highest good to happen for one and for all. So it's not just about me getting what I want or what I think needs to happen in order for me to be happy or in order for me to help change people or save the world. It is indeed about, excuse me, about us getting those inklings, those intuitive insights that say, yes, here's where a metaphysical energy tool can serve, right? And we learn how to work that invisible realm behind the scenes, behind the backdrop of this 3D veil, and we learn how to access and master that. So keynote, the way that we would use this is universe. We would ask the universe, and you can ask yourself to do it too. You can ask your higher self to do it. But what I would say is, I would say, universe, sign me into the keynote of all of the viewers of 4D Trinity this morning, which is something I did in my prayers before the show this morning. And what would happen is that the universe would come in through me and connect my keynote, which I'm getting right now. And you don't have to get, or if you don't feel that you get those clairaudient or those intuitive insights, I get that I'm in the key of C right now. And that's because I had asked the universe to connect me to the aggregate mean keynote of everyone watching. So the collective of those that will view this, whether it's one person now, 20 people later, or 50 people by the end of the week, or more than that over time and space, as long as this video is up and posted, that my communication with you will be to the highest order, that the ideas that I intend and that the love and light of the universe intend to move through me be communicated with greater clarity, so that you and I can gain a greater insight and understanding of what they actually are and what they mean. So I sign myself into your keynote. And as I do that, I connect my keynote to your keynote, and it creates a new keynote, a resonance that now I'm getting, right, is in the key of C. And so through that key of C is how I am communicating and speaking to you. And in that way, I trust that the messages I share will be of the higher order as they resonate through that key of C to you, that you will get and receive all that you are guided to, all that is for your highest good. Someone, you can have a little mini movie, you can watch a movie with someone, and one person might get a whole different download, right? A whole different sense of what that story was about versus the other person and what they might receive about it. And what this does, this keynote, is this allows for the stories, the information that's being shared, is to reach a broader spectrum of communication, a broader spectrum of expression. And I might find myself saying things in new ways that I never knew, because I give myself up to that keynote and allow it to work through me, right? So I can communicate these ideas to you. Now, another thing I can do, and which I did, is I asked the universe to sign your keynote into me. And what that happens is that allows you to greater understand what I'm saying. So I sign into your keynote, and that helps me bridge the gap between what I'm saying to you. I sign you into my keynote for the highest good. And that means that you then will also be able to understand and receive the insights and the teachings to the greatest degree of what is ready and what serves your highest path. So I pray that makes sense. If it doesn't, later after this video, send me a comment in the comment box below this video and ask me any questions. I would love to start a conversation about it. So the way that I used this keynote this week is that we have a dear family member that is in the hospital currently. And when you're in the hospital, there's a lot of nurses and doctors, and each doctor has a little piece of the puzzle you might get, unless you ask the right questions, you might not get a whole download or deep insight of what's really going on. And so you try to ask everyone as many questions as you can. Yet sometimes when they speak, you're like, I don't even know what this doctor is saying. This information is so convoluted, and there's so much depth, and there's using all these technical, terms, these biological doctor terms that I don't really get it. So let me sign them into my keynote so that they can better express themselves, right, in layman's terms, in ways that I can understand. And you know what? I'm going to sign myself into their keynote so that as I ask questions, I can be as coherent and clear as I can so that I can get the right answers that I want, right? Because often the answers we get are a culmination of the questions we have asked. And the clearer we can create our expression and communicate our questions with others, the clearer the communication that we can receive back. So that was just one example of how I was using the keynote this week, right, in the hospital. Another one is at Tai Chi. If you follow me on Instagram, which my link to my Instagram page is down there, and you can check it out, and do follow if you are on Instagram. I post sometimes some little mini movies of me practicing Tai Chi, and I love Tai Chi. I've just been at it just under a year now, and my teacher is amazing. I love my teacher, but sometimes he says these things and they're total like haiku riddles where you're just, me and the other student are just like, what did he just say? Like, we don't get it. And I love that because I don't want to get everything right away. I do want to be like, in some of the mystery as it unfolds within me. And so, but there was something that he was explaining to us last week, and I was like, I really do not get this. And then I remembered that we were doing the keynote last week, and I said, oh, let me sign myself into his keynote so that I'm asking clear, coherent questions about this. And for the highest good, sign him into my keynote so that the way that he's expressing and communicating for the highest good, because we're never forcing a will be able to convey to me his ideas in ways that I can be like, oh, I get it, I understand. And funny enough, because again, these haikus and these riddles that he shares with us, which I think is a part of the Tai Chi teachings, it's just this like beautiful, in-depth way of being and of perceiving and of embodying these qualities in our body, that it is a little bit of a mystery. So I didn't get everything right away, but I did get more clarity on what it was that he was inviting us to experience. So that's another another demonstration of how this works. And in a yoga class, I teach yoga now on the side, and every time I teach a class, for the highest good, universe, sign me into the keynote of the class. Sign them into my keynote. Right? And sometimes, communication just goes haywire. And often, oh my gosh, it's that time already? It's the God phone. Hello? Hi, God. Yes, I know, time is going by so quick this morning. God says time doesn't exist. Yes, okay, so I'm being totally in the now. Yes, we are, and you are. God says, I am now always present. Oh, blessings, Will, right as the God phone calls. Hi, Will. I love it. Yes, okay. God, as always, wants us to read from A Course in Miracles. And God says, hello, everyone, and sends blessings on this beautiful, beautiful day. Thank you. God says, you are a miracle. And don't forget it. You're so cheeky sometimes, God. Yes, okay, I will get to A Course in Miracles. We'll read a little bit. Okay, thank you so much. Namaste. Namaste, and thank you. That is so cool. Okay, so every week, God invites us to read a little bit from A Course in Miracles so that we can gain an understanding and an insight to some of these deeper teachings. And let's see, today, what God is inviting me to read from is from chapter 21, Reason and Perception, and just the first paragraph from the introduction. Projection. Okay, wait, first I have to read Will's comment in the comment box. Says, I sign into the keynote of the God phone. There you go. That's a beautiful, beautiful example. So in the introduction to chapter 21, it reads, projection makes perception. The world you see is what you gave it, nothing more than that. So the world we see on the outside as we were saying at the beginning of this live stream, is a direct result of what we have placed there. What I've decided to judge about the world is how the world will show up for me. And that's the metaphysics of how everything in the universe works. But though it is no more than that, it is not less. Therefore, to you, it is important. Okay? So it is important to us what we choose to see, because that governs, right? In turn, it comes back to us, and that governs the way we then further navigate through life. So if all we see is darkness, is fear, is blame, is shame, is guilt, the universe will then metaphysically provide us with that variation, or yes, with the validity of that belief concept. So it becomes real to us. Yet, if we decide that we are miracle-minded and we place love there, like I was saying at the beginning of this live stream, no matter what devastating thing seems to be going on, if I choose to see miracles and believe that miracles are abounding, then that is what I will see. That little spark of love and light will be there for me to see. And as I choose to see it, I create an anchor whereby others can see it too. Okay. It is the witness to your state of mind. The outside picture of an inward condition. So again, the inward conditions of what I'm experiencing create the outside conditions. As a man thinketh, so does he perceive. Therefore, seek not to change the world, but choose to change your mind about the world. Okay, so often we're, and I put this in a bubble of light because I'm not judging, but and I did this for years, is that we try to change people, places, and things on the outside. We try to change the way our loved one who is ill, gets over their illness or their sickness, rather than just seeing them as perfect and whole and on the divine, clearest path that they can be. We place a judgment there, we place a perception, and that creates a filter through which that's all we're going to be able to see or recognize them as living in this life. As a man thinketh, so does he perceive. Therefore, seek not to change the world. Should we continue saving the whales, or to think that that's the answer, right? Or do we work to save ourselves in the way that we see what's going on? If we decide to see that the whale kingdom is in fact almighty powerful, cannot be messed with, and that quality, that value, that grid holds an abundance of wisdom and can never be declined, will that strengthen the structures through which that can be manifest? I believe, yes, it can. If I focus on the whales being victims and that they, need to be saved, then that will place them in a perpetual state of needing to be saved. If I choose to think that they are already saved, that there is nothing to save, but rather let me uphold the whales in the highest, most beautiful light and see them as protected, see them as wisdom, see them as their almighty power, then I strengthen those qualities, okay? Perception is a result and not a cause. And that is why order of difficulty in miracles is meaningless. There is no order of difficulty in miracles. The miracle is right now. It's us choosing to shift the way that we see things, okay? Everything looked upon with vision, third eye vision, not just the duality perspective of the two physical eyes, but the vision when we have that third eye sparked up and activated. Everything looked upon with vision is healed and is holy because we remember to see the love and the light even in the darkest of times. Nothing perceived without it means anything. So nothing perceived without your holy vision means anything. And that takes me back to the introduction, which I love this. And it says, nothing real can be threatened and nothing unreal exists. So the only thing that's real is love. And that cannot be messed with. That cannot be threatened. Everything else, nothing unreal exists. Okay? So if it is anything but love, it's not real. And that's a big one to get around, I know, for us Course in Miracles students. Yet, nothing perceived without holy vision means anything, and where there is no meaning, there is chaos. So we place the meaning, right, in things. People, places, things, and situations. So let us remember that we can choose to see the bad, we can choose to see our own pain and our hurt of our past in people, places, and things, or we can choose to just see with eyes of love. And it's work. It's an initiation to the light, but we choose. And remember, you have a choice. So the next thing I'm guided to read is on the next page or two. Under the responsibility for sight, there's a little affirmation. And it says, I am responsible for what I see. I choose the feelings I experience, and I decide upon the goal I would achieve. And everything that seems to happen to me, I ask for and receive as I have asked. So this is very powerful because it brings us back to what you ask for is what you get. What you perceive is what indeed you give rise to, you give power to. So where are you placing your power today? And we forget, it's not just in hard times. It's not just when the wildfires are burning. It's not just when there's an earthquake or some kind of a disaster. It's right now that we are building the foundation for either love and light to blossom, to bloom, to be present, or for something that is not that. And remember, according to A Course in Miracles, that which is not love is not real. Okay, we're going to move right on. So I reviewed the keynote. Let me just look at my notes and make sure that I'm on time here. So again, just to review, anytime that you are called to use the keynote, whether it's in a meeting, an important talk with a friend, a lover, a family member, right? It allows us to communicate with ease. I sign myself into your keynote, family member, that we're having this family meeting so that I can communicate my concepts, my ideas with greater ease. And I ask for the highest good that you are signed into my keynote so that you can understand what I'm communicating with greater ease, with love. So now we're moving on to this next energy tool called de-link, to de-link, okay? And this is one that we can imagine that there are, as I've spoken before, there are energy threads. There are grids that connect us to one another, right? And so I'm going to do a little drawing here. Okay. So here's two people. Okay. Okay, so here's two people. And imagine this could be you and your mother. This could be you and your lover. This could be you and the doctor at the hospital. Okay? And what's going on is that anytime through all time and spaces that we have a connecting thread or series of threads of lines of energy that connect us to them. And when we de-link, we are saying, I'm going to allow for the highest good for those lines or that line of energy that connects us to disappear. And when that line disappears, when we de-link from someone else, we are allowing that love, that quantum organizer, that love and light of the universe, that source energy to come in and to recalibrate the space between us. So that as new lines of connection are birthed through communicating, through our thoughts, through our words, through our deeds, they ascend, they reach, and they communicate and connect on a higher level. Now, again, you don't have to have something bad going on with a family member, right? So even as I was saying, I was in the hospital and we have a dear family member that's going through some pretty big stuff here. At the end of the day, we came home from the hospital and I got in bed and I was like, oh, let me de-link. I de-link from the doctors. I de-link from all the nurses. I de-link from my divine family member who's in the hospital. And it's not a bad thing. I'm not saying like, oh, God, I can't handle him or any of that stuff. It's just let me energetically de-link. There were so many connections, right, that were built through the day from me to the hospital, from the hospital to me, from me to my loved one, from the loved one to me, from me to the doctor to me, all this stuff. And so as I'm laying in bed and I want to get a good night's sleep, all that stuff it has come with me and is laying in bed with me. All of those thoughts, all those conversations, all those the emotional stuff that was there. So universe, de-link me for the highest good from all these people, places, and things from this day. And again, what happens is the universe, for the highest good, will de-link those lines of energy that are ready to be de-linked and create that clear space between me, those people, places, and things, so that love can come in and heal and play. It just simply places love here. That then as I have a new thought about this loved one, as I have a new conversation with the doctor, these bridges that are connected are then ascended to a higher order. So they don't bring with them those values of what was there before, especially if what was there before was a little was a little disturbing or a little bit hard to take, or brought up a lot of emotional turmoil within me. Okay, if that doesn't make sense, let me know, give me a little line. But the idea is that I can de-link myself from you, and you can de-link yourself from me, and I can make it so for the highest good. So not only did I say, like the keynote, not only did I say, universe, de-link me from the hospital, from the doctor, from my beloved family member in the hospital, and universe, while you're at it, de-link all of those people, places, and things from me, right? Because we have our own projections, our own judgments, our own thoughts, all of our stuff that we place on other people, but also they have their stuff that they project and that they connect to us. And not that it's a bad thing, but when you understand the metaphysics of the invisible realm and how all these ties connect us and keep us joined in whatever those situations and circumstances were, we realize that by asking the universe to de-link us, or simply stating, I de-link, it's always for the highest good, and I ask that they be de-linked from me, that clear space can then come, love can come in and do its beautiful quantum organizing that always and only brings balance and raises the energy, raises the vibration, so that again, from that point on, all of my thoughts, my feelings, my emotions from me to them are of a higher order, okay? So Will just wrote something. Let me see what he said. Can I de-link myself? Ask the universe, yes, from the outside in, but can I, like running a Merkaba? Okay, can I de-link? So can you de-link from yourself is what I'm getting from this. Ask the universe, yes, from the outside in. So what I will say is, yes, you can de-link yourself from yourself, because what I will share about that is that it has to do with the you that you think you are is a you from the past. And the past is anything from 1 minute ago, 30 seconds ago, 5 seconds ago, to the you that you were 5 years old. Absolutely. When I was on my healing path, I was continually de-linking myself from the version of myself that I was when I was 8, when I was 12, when I was 25, all of those versions of myself that held the grief, the pain, the fear, and the memory, right, of what happened to me when I was younger, that continued to create traumatic perspective and judgments through my mind that continued creating that reality for me. And de-linking from those parts of myself from the past absolutely helped me to regain a connection with love and see things from a higher order. And you know what? Some things, when we de-link from that part of our past, if it is ready to go for the highest good, it will not relink itself. So we can then walk that lighter bit right through the world. We don't have to be so bogged down by the past. Okay? So, and we also allow that past to be what it was. But as we de-link, we can see things differently because we allow space for love to come in. So our perceptual lenses of what was, where I wasn't able to forgive the past, in the past, right? Now I have a better capability to do so because I have de-linked. And it's like, it becomes a spaghetti junction. It becomes, there's, I draw the lines, the thread lines all nice, but it becomes really kind of crazy. You can imagine between yourself, between others, if there's a lot of stuff that's happened over the years. Yes, absolutely. I de-link myself from my family. I de-link myself from family members. I de-link myself from me, from that part of me. I de-link myself from the tar body. I de-link the tar body from me. I de-link myself from how I reacted yesterday. And I place love there. I allow love, the quantum organizer, to come in. So let me look at my notes here. Yes, so we can de-link ourselves from the present, from the state that we are in presently, and we can de-link ourselves from who we think we were in the past. April's here. Blessings, sister. Good morning. Okay, she's saying, I already know I'm going to have to watch this from the beginning. She just hopped on. Welcome, April. Blessings. So we're talking about de-linking, right? And how every thought we have about another person, place, or thing connects us to it, connects us, creates lines of energy to the people, places, and things. And if those energy lines are of love and of light and of peace, then that's what we're going to be plugged into. That's what's going to nourish us and feed us. And that's what we're going to see, perceive, and experience. But if there's a lot of connections between us and a person, place, or thing, Say there's a lawsuit, say there's a court case. And if all of those things are just frustrating and impatient and it seems like you're doomed, absolutely. I delink from this court case. I delink from the judge. I delink from the person that we're dealing with in this court case. And the universe comes in and erases all of those lines that had once connected you. Yeah, and it erases you. You see how his body disappeared? It kind of erases a part of you, which that's a whole other conversation we might get into later. And it allows then love, because love always is. You see, love always is. It's not that love really comes in, but what happens is that love is always the foundation of everything. And yet, on top of the love are our projections, our criticisms, our judgments and whatnot, or our pain and our fear, and all that stuff. And as we de-link from those people, places, and things, either ourselves or of the past, right? What happens is love that's always been there is allowed, right, to magnify and to bring us into a remembering and a further realization that that is the truth. And to the greatest degree that serves our highest good, it infuses our mind, our tongue, our feelings, so that we can then embody that in more and more degrees. And so bridge heaven on earth and see it and be it so. Elizabeth, namaste. Thank you for joining us this morning. I'm so grateful. Thank you, everyone, so much. Okay, so we're talking about that delinking energy exercise. And the thing about it is that when you delink from people, places, and things, it doesn't have to be bad. It doesn't have to be a bad court case. It doesn't have to be those neighbors next door that you had a feud with that you're like, man, I got to delink from them because this energy is like all fired up. I need to delink from them and ask the universe to delink them from me so that those threads, those grids that were once connecting us can disappear and love can then again be remembered. That truth that is love always be there. Okay? It can be a good thing. You don't have to be. I remember saying this to a client once. She was she was telling me about her relationship, and there were a few things that were kind of rocky. And I says, well, and I was starting to discuss the delink tool with her. And she says, well, I don't want to delink from him. And I was like, well, honey, it doesn't mean you have to like break up with him. It doesn't mean you have to, break up or get a divorce. It simply means that energetically, you are cutting the cords. You are allowing the universe to erase those energy threads, especially those ones where frustration, where guilt, where pain, where impatience, where the disturbed, right, kind of energy resides. You allow the universe to erase those, to disappear those, so that love can then be remembered. And through the vision of love, through our light sight, we can recalibrate and see things from a very different place, because we know that as we see things through the lenses of duality perception, through simply love and fear, there's always a chance for fear to come. Yet, if we choose to see with our light sight lit and are determined, right, to trust that love is the truth, well, that is what will reside for us. And this takes me to a little offshoot. We've had conversations before, I know, with some of you about faith versus hope. And what I like to say is that hope, I say nope to hope. And I know it's a bridgeway, right? Hope is a bridge to faith, but hope is just a stepping stone. Faith is beyond reason. It's beyond the logical thinking mind. It's beyond the third dimension. Faith is the realm of miracles. Faith is where where things happen that we have no idea how that could have manifested. It's the hand of God. It's that divine appointment that happens when all the odds were against it. And that's what faith is. Faith allows and gives rise to it, creates the correct conditions for the miracles to happen. As long as there's hope, there's always room for nope. There's always room for fear, because we are thinking that hope is from the dual lenses of perception through the physical eyes. But when I create that Trinity and I remember through the third eye that love is the truth, then I am activated in faith. Then I am bridging heaven on earth. Then I am connecting to source that is undisturbed, that is the truth, that there is no room for fear. It is only love, love and only love. And that's very, very mighty. So I pray that that serves you, right? If it serves you and if it resonates, drop the word hope from your vocabulary. And again, I do honor it and I receive that it is a powerful word for many people. Yet, faith is the next level of supernatural conditions right? And that's where we're going in 4D. We are not bogged down by the gravity of the grids in 4D. We recognize that all the turmoil and all the distress and all the destruction in the world is a part of the world. But where we're going is heaven on earth. Where we are going is to a higher order, a higher state of consciousness. Amen. Amen, sister. All right. So we've learned about delinking. And again, whether things are good or bad. So you can be in a good relationship and still be like, I'm going to delink. And I'm going to ask for the universe to delink them from me, from my partner or my boss or my work fellows, even if there's good vibes, right? But how about it getting even better, right? Sometimes we forget that things can even get better and better and better. You get an amazing, pay raise, a bonus, a paycheck. Okay, this is blessed. Let me bless it. Let me put it on the altar, whatever your juju is that you've, recognize it and appreciate it. And let me then delink and allow for even more. Allow for even more, from your health. Let me delink from all those parts of me that think that I need to be sick. Let me delink from all those parts of me that have unforgiveness. Let me delink from the part of me that was a victim for my whole life. And can you imagine? So all those grids, all those threads disappear, and love can be reclaimed and remembered and infused through our thoughts, through our consciousness. So as we move forward, we have a greater, that infinite, that eternal spectrum of vision to see through, to feel through, right? That is maximal. It's multiplied exponentially. Love is the truth. And as we remember that and we choose it, so it is. So again, we can delink. And I did want to talk now about one other energy tool. And I'm doing my best to keep these down to about an hour, and it's already almost 11. But what I'm going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about the beshared bubble. And I talk about it in my book, The Reiki Apprentice. And I do plan to read a little bit about this. But what I'll say first is that the beshared bubble is when you're in a relationship. And it's interesting because the last 2 weeks in my weekly tarot energy forecast, love and relationships and lovers and self-love has been up. I will put a link here later to this week's weekly tarot energy forecast so you can check it out. But this idea of having judgments and expectations and projections about our lovers, right? Or whether you're dating, whether you're in a long-term relationship, you've been married for years, whatever it is, what we forget, or maybe just what we're unaware of, is that, I wish he would be more on time. I wish he would pay more attention to me. I wish she wouldn't be so stubborn. I wish she would just not procrastinate as much. I wish she was more affectionate. I wish he was more patient with me. And what we do is we project from ourselves onto that person, right? Whether we're dating someone, whether it's a long-term or a possible, even a potential lover that we're kind of starting to do a little dance with energetically, we project those judgments, right, onto them. And psychically, they can feel it. And if it's not in alignment with them, if it's not a part of their truth, and if they don't resonate with it, it's just going to create more distortion, right? Because you are deciding to see that something is wrong. And as long as you focus on what's wrong and not on what is right, what is good, what is positive in your relationships, right? With lovers, with your husband, with your wife, with your, flirty other, then that's what you're going to get more of. And we know this, but remembering it in how it works in relationships. So in the beshared bubble, what we'll talk about is that there's a bubble, there's your bubble. Okay, so that's you, that's the other person. But you know what? There's a bubble that is just the relationship. And instead of placing all of our judgments and our projections, I wish they were more like this. Why can't he be more like that? God, I hate the way they do that. Da, 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 da. And we put all that stuff on the other person. Where we're invited to with this metaphysical energy tool of the beshared bubble is we work on the bubble of the relationship, the beshared bubble. And beshared means sacred other, sacred one, right? Because ultimately what we're doing is we are creating the correct conditions for the most high love to abide, the most high love to abound. And so what we do is we use the beshared bubble in our relationships, and we put all that stuff that you maybe are in the habit of projecting on the other person into the bubble, right? And we affirm it in a positive light as if it's already done, just like how we do with prayer, right? We affirm that it is done. Okay, so and it's almost like sort of these affirmation practices we've done in the past, right? So with the shared bubble, instead of placing all your projections on the other person, put it in the bubble. Recognize that there's just you, that there's you and there's them, but there's also this bubble that represents the relationship of both of you. And so you put your intentions, you place your awarenesses of what it is that you feel is in resonance with what you deserve in relationship into the bubble. Okay, so I'm going to read from my book, and there's a few paragraphs, so get your coffee, chill out, and here we go. And these are channelings from my teacher, who is a trance channel, and she says, now many of you have questions about or queries about your romantic partners, right? Many of you say, if only he was more like this, if only she was more like that. But where you should really put your attention is on your shared bubble. This is where the work is happening. You are focusing too much on the other person instead of the bubble of energy you share with your partner energetically. The shared bubble represents the sacred space of relationship where love resides. But it is not limited to one partner or person. You can have a shared relationship with your work or family. But when it comes to one-on-one, instead of saying, I wish he was more like this or that, place the qualities you want into your bubble instead of placing them on the person. In this way, you are creating a conscious blueprint filled with your ideal values and intentions that you have for your perfect partnership. Your shared may be the partner you are with now, or it may be someone he or she will grow into, or it could be someone else altogether. And then someone in the group says, well, what does shared mean? And the response is, your shared is your sacred one. And someone else asks, is that like your soulmate? And the response is, it doesn't have to be, but it can be. And the next question is it a karmic connection that we have with our shared? And the answer, yes, karmic. And even though we open the way for many packages, and the packages mean romantic potential partners, even though we open the way for many packages to come to us when we work on our bubble, there is only one shared. The universe will send you different love interest packages, and as you fine-tune your bubble, you will attract them into your life, so you may put into practice what you have intended. Bubble work really reflects the work you have done on yourself and continue to do on yourself as self-love. So if you're seeking for your partner to be more patient with you, that's where you get to understand and work on patience within yourself. And you get to see where impatience lies within you. And if you're asking for them to be more patient with you, what you're ultimately asking for is for you to be more patient with them as well. So it's a value that is obviously important if you're placing it into the shared bubble, but it's not all about them, right? It has its roots in us. The more you love yourself, the more coherent and clear your intentions become in the shared bubble. And the more filled with integrity and self-respect your awareness becomes in creating the partnerships and relationships you want. So in that way, we want things. We ask for greater love. We ask for greater respect. Yet if we can't give our own selves greater respect first, right, how are we ever going to receive it? When we work in the shared bubble and we place these values, we're working on ourselves, because ultimately the things that we're feeling that are not there are the things that we are not giving to ourselves. Whoa, right? So we think we're kind of like working on the relationship, but ultimately the relationship is a direct reflection of us. Sharing in the shared river with someone is all about experiencing supreme love in relationship. There are not several or more than one. There is only one that you will share this special kind of love with. It doesn't mean that you will not have love with other partners, but there is a special quality of love that occurs in a shared love. So we can experience shared energy with many things in life, meaning we can experience that special vibration of love in different areas. But when it comes to sharing supreme love with a partner, there is only one with which we will feel those distinct feelings. And then someone asks, are we destined to meet our shared in this life? And the answer, it is not always so simple. There are many factors, such as where you are each at within your life paths, and if your vibrations will be synced up enough to actually draw each other into another's life. Okay, so remember, what you ask for is what you will get, and you will get it to the degree that you are able to perceive it and receive it. So being mindful always when we use these metaphysical energy tools, but it's a refining tool, learning how to work within the bubble. And the most important principle of this is recognizing that you don't have to project all the things that you think you want and you need in a relationship onto the person. And you know what the cool thing is? When I started working with this, I was in a 3-year relationship at the time I learned this tool, and we were having all sorts of issues. And I was like, oh my God, the bubble. Let me start putting all these things in the bubble. Like, they appreciate me. They look at me. Even things like they look at me when I talk to them. You know, I remember I had this boyfriend where I would be sharing really intimate, deep things, and he'd be like, you know, like totally distracted. And I'd be like, I want your attention. Like, why, what? And it used to frustrate me so much. And I'd be like, why don't they pay attention to me? What's their big distraction? And it would all be pointed to them. And then I was like, oh, the bubble. Okay, in the bubble, let me place that my partner, my sacred other, my lover, pays perfect attention to me, is absolutely present with me when we communicate and we have conversations. And what started happening is little by little, and see, you pay attention to what you place in the bubble. You pay attention. And then what started happening is he became more relaxed over time. His body language shifted, and he started turning to me and looking at me and sharing and listening in a way that was completely new, right? If you feel that you would like to be more appreciated, you feel that your partner, especially if it's a long term, sometimes we just get used to each other and we forget about the little ways that we can appreciate each other. And sometimes we ourselves feel less appreciated. So, you know, even that simple value of placing that in the bubble, my love appreciates me. My love shows me all the beautiful ways that they appreciate me, you know? And sure, it might be they buy you flowers every Friday, but it might be little significant things that only to you, that you know for you, are like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what creates the beauty and the grounding in a relationship that I want. You know, if you keep attracting partners to you that are two-timing, right? Then what's that agreement, right? Where's that coming from? That's coming from us, that there is something within us that is saying okay to that, even though I know on the outside you're like, no, I'm not saying okay to that. I don't want that. But there's something within us that is saying that that's okay, that we can give rise to that being a reality. And sure, karma, we're there for each other to work out lessons. But as we start to place those values into the bubble, that my love, my sacred other, is absolutely monogamous, loves me and only me, and is happy to be monogamous with me, what happens, and this is the powerful thing, is that if that person that you're with right now, if you really start to do bubble work and you get really clear and work on it, that person, if they are not resonating to that supreme love of that shared energy, over time, that relationship will dissolve. If you hold really strong into what your beliefs are and what you decide is yours in relationship, what it is that you know is yours, it's not even what you want, it's what you know is truth, integrally and authentically within you, what you deserve, what is yours. And if it's not happening in that partner, as you work on the bubble, they will either start to, and remember, it's for the highest good. We're not forcing a will. We're not trying to change people. We are not manipulating anyone, but for the highest good, where they can begin to slowly shapeshift and change and shift, because it is in their nature to be their higher self, to be more loving, to be more kind, to be more appreciative, to be a better listener, to be monogamous, or whatever it is. To the degree that those values are resonant with them, they will start to show that. And it will start to be in the relationship or not. Or not. And this brings me back to that client that I had, where I was offering to her to de-link from her partner. And she was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to lose him. And I was like, honey, you're not going to lose him. And then in the back of my mind, I'm going, well, if it's not meant to be, then it's not meant to be. Yet, for the sake of that exchange I had with her, I was explaining that as you de-link from him and you ask that he be de-linked from you, that allows that love, to be present, and then from that space of that love frequency, for the way that you continue to communicate and connect, to be in resonance with that higher frequency of love. And again, you can do this over and over again with the delinking tool. And as well, I explained to her the shared bubble, and she was so afraid to work on that bubble. And it really brought it home to me. And this is perhaps a judgment. I place it in a bubble of light. And since I always say that, maybe we'll end today on a bubble of light, just briefly. We'll wrap up here shortly. But it occurred to me that she somehow, deep down inside of herself, knew that if she started doing that work on the bubble, that he wasn't the one. That he wasn't the one. And she was scheduled to get married to him and do all this stuff. And she was scared. She was scared to do the bubble work because he wasn't the one, right? Or what if he isn't the one? And so let me not work on the bubble, okay? So it's very interesting because we know intuitively deep down inside that what we ask for, we get to some degree, and to the degree that we're able to see it, to be it, to embody it, right? And so she didn't want to work on the bubble. And of course, that's okay. You know, do what you feel guided. Do what resonates with you. But so I pray that the bubble work resonates with you. If there's a little question, put it in the comment box right now and we'll just review it before we end today. And what I'm going to end with today is that bubble of light. And I don't even know where it came from. I think it was just in the ether. It was not a tool that my teacher necessarily taught us. But it's when you are having a conversation. I'm going to take a sip of coconut water here. The bubble of light. Often I have conversation with people, friends, places, things, talk to everything, everyone all the time, blessing it, right? Ooh, and that's an energy tool we got to talk about another time, placing the blessing there. But the bubble of light is when you're having a conversation and you don't want energies, you are not intending to run grids. When you're not intending to run energy, because every thought we have, every word we speak, every action we do sets in motion grids, sets in motion a ripple effect of energies from us through all of creation. And it touches and connects with all people, places, and things, and it comes back to us, right? We know this. We're learning this. So if I'm having a conversation with you, and say we're talking about someone else, and not that it has to be a bad thing, like, ooh, like we're not gossiping, but we're discussing someone's health. And I don't want to run any grids, and I don't want to psychically, because we're all connected, we're all one mind, I'm not intending to psychically, for what I say, for them to hear it or to feel it psychically. I just want to keep it in a sacred bubble of light, but I need to express it. I need to say it because it's in my truth sphere. So we're having a conversation, and I'm like, you know what? I need to say this, but I'm going to put it in a bubble of light, right? So I say what I need to say, place it in the bubble of light, because perhaps there are variations or values to it that are unharmonious, or that do reflect a certain level of negativity. Yet it's something that's up in my sphere and I need to express it. And I feel that you're a sacred person that I could share this with, and where you won't hold it and take it on and project it. So we're going to put it in a bubble of light, and I need to express this and say it in your presence, because I feel in confidence with you, and I feel that being in your presence is going to help me see through what it is I'm feeling, thinking, and saying. So I'm going to put it in a bubble of light right now. And when we do that, we place those thoughts or those words in a bubble of light, and it will be there, just right there in your atmosphere for those seconds, for those minutes while you have that contemplation, whether it's with yourself and you do bubble of light, or whether it's with another in a conversation, and it'll hover there. And then it'll disappear back to love and light. So it is a means by which you can express yourself, you can have thoughts, you can do things that will not set off a grid run of threads of energy and connect you to those variables, right? Does that make sense? I pray that it does. So bubble of light. And because this is off the cuff and I don't have any notes prepared on it, I'll definitely review this next time. But it's like placing that conversation, that thought in a bubble of light. Let me just take a moment. Okay. So like the conversation I was having with a loved one, right? I have a family member who's in the hospital, and with a different loved one, we're having this conversation, and my family member says to me, God, but what about that doctor? They were just so like impatient, and they were just being a kind of a jerk, and they weren't really communicating clearly. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. We got to put all this in a bubble of light. Let's put the bubble of light there, and then, okay, go. Whatever you need to say goes into the bubble. And then so she had her little rant about it. And knowing that if we are going to affirm that the doctor is impatient, they're not communicating clearly, they're not the highest vibration or all that stuff, when we affirm that by just saying it, it runs those energies into being. And to the degree that that doctor will be impatient, will be a miscommunicator, and will not be as present or humanly, compassionate, we're giving rise to those variables happening. That's why we put that stuff in the bubble of light, so that that person, that family member could vent, could say those things that were really, and it's not like they're just venting. These were really deep properties for them that they were like concerned about. But we don't want to run those energies. We don't want to affirm that over this healing of my other family member who's in the hospital. So let's put it in a bubble of light so you can get that out of your chest. I know you need me, the sacred other who can hold space and hear you. Okay, bubble of light. And then once she was done, bubble of light, disappear. So we don't run grids. We don't place those things in the atmosphere to create a gravity and create the seeds of those becoming. Right? You get it? You get it? Yes. Okay, good. April gets it. And if April gets it, then everyone's getting it. So again, I will review Bubble of Light in greater depth as we move forward. And I'm really not sure, these holidays and all of this craziness has me, I'm not clear on what we're going to be discussing next week in the live stream. So it'll be a surprise. But I thank you so much for being here. Yes, yes. Work on your shared bubble, right? As you're guided. De-link, right? And again, it can be good. Things do not have to be bad when you de-link. Things can be good. And you can de-link from them, ask the universe to de-link them from you so that love can be remembered, so that as you relink in relationship, in friendship, in family, in work situations, or with your own creative projects. There's my books. I continually de-link from them because I get so in them and I'm thinking that things need to be a certain way and they're not. And so I got to get frustrated or freaked out or pissed off. And then I'm like, let me just de-link from this whole grid, from this whole thing that I think I am and that I think is. And let me de-link those books from me. So it's like, whew, there's like this release of all those things that were put there, so that as I reconnect and I'm intuitively, creatively inspired and guided to go back in and to work on these books, I have this clarity of seeing things that I didn't see before, because all the spaghetti junction of the way that I was seeing things and distorting my vision is gone, is not there to the greatest degree that it can be released, okay? De-linking, the shared bubble. Get into the habit. Create a new habit of, instead of projecting things onto that other person, that lover, that flirt, that husband, that wife, to put it in the bubble. Whenever they trigger you and you're like, I wish they were more like, instead of saying, I wish that person was more like that, place in the bubble the value, the quality, the intention, and affirm it that it is so. My partner is loving, is patient. My partner listens. My partner knows how to be still and peaceful. And sometimes be mindful. If you just say partner, 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 unless that is the relationship you have with them, you might want to say my lover, my boyfriend, my husband, my wife, that kind of thing, my lover. You want to be very, very specific as you place those values into your bubble. And again, for the highest good, to the degree that that other person is ready to rise and to meet them, it will be so. And think about it like this, because I know those of you that are watching now, and if you're with me, you know about the energy letter. So it's almost like an energy letter, right? Where you're putting this stuff, you're not saying it to them. It's almost like the higher self, but it's the higher self of the relationship. And in what I'm saying is that it's like the energy letter is because for the highest good, those things that are ready to shift and change will. And just remember though, sometimes that change means changing out of that relationship. Though, if you're willing to work there, they're willing to work there, and to keep meeting each other as those changes happen, then for the highest good, right, beautiful healings can abound in your relationships. Place it, mother, trust. Okay, good. Trust, yes, trust. And then April says, mother. Yeah. Yeah, we have shared relationships with our family members. Like I was saying, I was talking about delinking, but I definitely have a shared, a supreme love relationship with my creating of the books, right? And so instead of like putting my things onto the books, it's like, let me place my intentions and my values and my affirmations of the highest good into the bubble and not onto the books. And that frees the highest good, that love and light, to come in and infuse that and make it so. Because the books are their own entities. Your mother, your father, your friends, your lovers are their own entities. But specifically, we are talking about romantic relationship this week. But yes, you can use the shared bubble with those sacred others in your life too. Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much for being with me today. I am so very grateful. Thank you everyone for hopping on and saying hello and for all of your comments. It really does mean so very much. And I had a handful of new subscribers this week, which I'm so grateful for. Thank you for coming by and for blessing me and blessing all of us with your presence. Thank you everyone so much. I am so very grateful. And I'm going to go ahead and line up our little intro outro here. Enjoy this beautiful, beautiful day. Remember, it is a miracle. You are a miracle. And there is no difficulty in the degree of miracles. We simply choose. We choose to see the miracle. We choose to allow ourselves to be present to the miracle. And that's what makes it so. That's what makes it so in that invisible realm behind the backdrop of this 3D, 4D consciousness, love, heaven on earth realization is and always is. And we either create the correct conditions within ourselves that will give rise to it really being and being a part of this 3D or not. And it's our choice. But remember, you can choose again. So anytime you forget and you think, oh man, I effed that one up, it's okay. You can erase it and place love there, or you can simply choose to remember and rewrite the story, right? Whether it's a paragraph, a line, a chapter. Okay, beautiful, everyone. Thank you so much again for being here. I really love you. I really appreciate you. And I send you off on this beautiful day with lots of love and namaste. So pardon me a second. I'm going to line up our little intro outro. And I thank you and I bless you and namaste. Okay, we're going to get into our screen share. Here we go. Blessings.